the big deal today is, are you getting the most appropriate care for the treatment causing disability? I don't think that I should have to have experimental surgery or experimental medication just because the corporate medical doctor says that it's more appropriate or the risks aren't that great. If you're a doctor, you shouldn't have your salary tied to corporate profit, so that if I say no, that translates into saving money on the claim, which then boosts the insurance company bottom line, which then creates a bonus pool for the doctor who no longer sees patients. I always say defamation is the cheapest defense going. Use smear, use innuendo, lie often enough, and pretty soon people start to believe that it's the truth. It's one of the hardest things that we combat in the disability setting. It gets very hard to show how often an in-house doctor says no. You'd love to be able to gather up that information, because the closer you get to the documents, the more money is usually put on the table to be able to resolve the difference of the insured.
I have 20 years' experience as a private investigator. For years, I investigated disability claims for insurance companies. Keep in mind, extremely powerful organizations want to maintain their power. The more power an organization has, the more frantic they'll be in trying to hang on to it. If it weren't for the assholes at the insurance company, I probably would have never gone this far with my muckraking. But these people mean business. I think they're dangerous. I know because I destroyed lives. I didn't plan evil, but I knew it was going to happen. They didn't care. It's all about the money.
Tell me your 3 deepest, darkest, dirtiest secrets, because I promise they will find them out. Who hates you, who dislikes you, and who wants to cause you harm.
The majority of Americans would never commit fraud with regard to their insurance. They buy insurance in hopes that they never have to file a claim. And the only time that the consumer does file a claim is in the case of catastrophe or death of a family member, a crisis in their health. And all that they want is to be made whole again, to have the bills paid, to rebuild the house, to have the car fixed, and to get back to work.
We represented insurance companies, corporate clients. One of my larger clients was Uniroyal. We defended tire cases, chemical cases. On the insurance side, I defended a disability claim, hit and runs, all sorts of accidents and that type of thing. For about 15 years, that was my focus.
Barry Lopsher, for me, is one of those cases. As a young lawyer, I have always done disability and long-term care, and I would see Barry in court and say to myself, wow, if one day I could orate, if one day I could be as strong a personality in the courtroom as Barry, I would really have achieved one of my goals as a trial lawyer. Barry was the consummate trial lawyer, one of the preeminent antitrust lawyers in America.
Not being able to work is a very difficult thing. for men that have based their entire life on earning a living and being providers. And when you do something really well, and I think I did do it well, you don't want to give it up. So going through that change was very difficult. And it took me quite some time to realize that I wasn't going back to work. Even though I stopped working in February of '05, I called it at the time a sabbatical and intended in 6 months to be back, behind the desk and working. And it continued on and on until I finally decided in May of 2006 that I needed to file these disability claims. I had no intention when I stopped working of claiming disability. I thought I'd be back to work, but the ailments didn't get better.
Submits his claim, never anticipated that he'd have any trouble. Initially tried to go part-time and then totally disabled. Carrier delays, and then quickly denies without doing a proper investigation, without gathering all the records, without looking at the medical problems, without looking at the medications.
In my case, these aren't subjective diagnoses. You have a heart attack, you have an angiogram, they can show the blockage, you have stents placed that show up on x-rays, you have diverticulitis, and a colonoscopy shows the diverticuli present in the sigmoid colon. These are not subjective clinical diagnoses. These are things that are documented. They're in the medical records. The TIA, they do I had an MRI, CAT scan for the pulmonary emboli that showed them. There's no question that these ailments occurred.
He had some transischemic attacks, which are episodes where your heart flutters. He had a very difficult diverticulitis, which caused hospitalization, a host of medications, a boatload of medications. Enough that he probably shouldn't have been driving, let alone being responsible for multi-million-dollar clients' portfolio in court.
Living with that for the period of time, I just really concluded that I couldn't effectively and appropriately represent clients. One of the things I told the insurance company, put yourself in the position of a prospective client. Would they want these ailments to be disclosed? And if they were disclosed, would they want to hire you? And I wouldn't hire an attorney that had the health problems that I was going through.
Their pretext is that 90% of claims filed contain some element of fraud. It's a false pretext, but it's what they say in order to delay your claims. They mishandle or make up their statistics. It's like saying 90% of all shark attacks happen in 10 feet of water. Since most people don't swim out into the middle of the ocean, that's a pretty safe but not exactly accurate statistic. The truth is there's less than 10% of fraud of any kind. Quite a difference, if you ask me.
To have them tell you that we don't believe you, you're a liar, you fabricated this, even though you've had the policies for 15 or over 10 years on both policies. It's very, very frustrating, and it angers you, and it depresses you. And you just keep dealing with it and replying and giving them additional paperwork, but you feel as though you're climbing a mountain that has no top. I had an interview with a very senior claims representative from Union Provident, and at the end of the interview, he asked if he could take my picture, and I said, why? He said, well, it's just something we do. And I said, no. We live in a gated community, and I think he was going to take my picture so that a private investigator or whatever would recognize me when I came out of the community.
It's interesting. They could be looking right at me a few feet away and don't have a clue that I'm videotaping them. I know an investigator who is excellent at her videography and claims that she could make an invalid look like an athlete. If they can't prove their case with one private investigator, they shop for another until they get the results they want. They just want results.
The insurance companies today seem to say, we're going to fight everything to the end, because a certain percentage of people, even if they have valid claims, are just going to give up and they're going to go away. And the ones that sue, you know, will settle with them for 50 cents or 60 cents or 70 cents on the dollar or whatever, and ultimately, you know, their bottom line improves. I mean, Union Provident did this. There was a 60-minute special on it. Their bottom line improved.
If you're one of the 50 million Americans who has money deducted from your paycheck to pay for disability insurance, or if you purchased a disability policy on your own, you may think you're covered if you're injured or too sick to work. But don't be too sure. A number of people who worked at Union Provident, the giant of the disability insurance business, whose clients include CBS, told us that the company's management puts tremendous pressure on claims handlers to deny new claims and shut down existing ones.
You've seen the proper physicians, it's all documented, and they come back and say, well, my decision's the same. But they don't explain it. Initially they explained it, but you know, when the facts that they put in the letter were proven wrong, now they've disregarded those facts and just say, you know, but it will be reviewed by some executive in the company, which I think is a stall tactic. You know, you're going to wait for a review from some executive in the company that's going to really overrule somebody that's denied a claim. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think you can bet the farm on internal overrides never happening. It's all part of their claims handling. If you look, you'll notice a trend to hire inexperienced, minimally educated, but fiercely loyal claims adjusters. When the stock market crashes and unemployment soars, the lowest level employee will do virtually anything to prove their loyalty to the company. Why not hire poorly educated and loyal employees and then train them to do the dirty work?
The insurance company should be on your side, or the representative should be on your side, and look at these facts and say, is this a person that we think is actually out to defraud us? You know, with this, all this medical information that we have in front of us, do we think he's lying? But they don't. You know, they take the opposite point of view. You're a liar, and you have to prove beyond all reasonable doubt. And I think that, you know, pretty much comes down to being a quadriplegic before they're going to pay you.
If they had any questions or concerns about Barry Lobsher, they should have spent $2,000 and got him examined. He had everything under the sun wrong with him. Pick a body part, he had a problem with it. Pick a medication, he was on it. And for the carrier in this case, with these amount of benefits at stake, with the basket of medications that he was on, to deny his benefits, it was wrongful, it was unreasonable, and it was without proper cause. It's a bad faith case, pure and simple.
I was divorced, and that was probably the most depressing thing I've ever gone through in my life, and sought counseling until I've had to deal with the insurance companies. If you couple the fact that you're not doing what you love to do and suffering that, and then you're also not going to be able to receive benefits that you paid for in case that happened, you just sink into a depression.
If they can delay, and then 2 years later give me $1,000 a month, I've been foreclosed, my kids have been through 2 Christmases without, my wife has gone through 2 anniversaries without a present, and we don't have the things that we normally would have had. That's not okay. That's unreasonable. That's without proper cause, delay, or denial. And you know what? They should suffer.
Now I look back and I go, what was I thinking?
The skateboard went.
I went bam! I tried to stand up and I couldn't. I can't work. I'm like, who's gonna pay for college now? It's a good thing we had the disability insurance.
Mutual of Omaha.
It was impressive.
Begin today.
My name is Barbara. My condition, pericarditis. Mutual of Omaha did everything they could do to try to get me off disability. They stalled me, they lied to me, they had me go see their doctors, they surveilled me, and in the end, they even tried criminal action. They did everything they could do, but beat me.
There are many ifs in your family's life. If your kids can go onward and upward, no matter what. If you get sidelined from work. Ensuring your family's ifs can be hard to figure out. So MetLife removed the guesswork. By packaging the insurances families need most, term life and disability, we've created a comfortable safety net that's filled with promises and bursting with guarantees for the if in life. Call for this surprisingly affordable insurance package from MetLife.
Hi, my name is Glenn, and I was insured through MetLife, and I've got a disability in my neck and on my lower back, and so now they've denied me, and now I'm having to seek legal recourse. And I didn't want to do that, but they forced me into it. I don't understand why. I'm very discouraged, and I don't know what else to say other than you got to keep on fighting, because you paid in for that. That's your hard money that you worked for, and you deserve it.
Everybody that's got a legitimate claim is welcome here, whether it's 50 cents or 500,000, $100 or $1 million. And we've got both ends of the spectrum, the lawyers, the athletes, the motion picture stars, the authors, everybody who you see on TV. There have been some of those here. On the other hand, they're the people that I grew up with as well, the folks that carried a lunch pail, the blue-collar workers, like my parents, and but for the grace of God. I always say, but for the grace of God, they should have my help too, because I never forget where I came from, and that's where I came from. So blue-collar for me is always at the front of the line.
Anybody with any kind of upbringing at all isn't going to just go out and stand at the street corner and beg for change, you know. I mean, it's just not it, you know. But they force you in a position where, you know, I've had situations where I'm not comfortable with what I'm doing. Aluminum cans, I did that when I was homeless, when I didn't have any skills, and I swore I'd never do that. I would get my education and a training and a job that, you know, so I never had to do that again because it was so horrible. And I went hungry before, and I swore I'd never do that. And I tried very hard not to do that. I mean, and then boom, here we go.
Donna Stebbins is one of our current very disabled, mother of two. You know, one of her boys is in Iraq, and the other is a sheriff. Widow, disabled truck driver.
Oh, I wanted to drive a truck since I was a little kid. First time I ever saw one, and I don't know what it was, the great big size, or just, I mean, I was just fascinated with them. I have no fear of the trucks. A lot of people are scared to be around them, or, you know, don't like driving by them or anything. I love them, you know. You get up in one of those trucks and you get to looking around, and you sit there in the driver's seat and you'll never want to come out of it as far as I'm concerned. I got hurt at work trying to adjust tandems on a trailer, and the tandem handle would come apart, and the arm that I had to adjust with it slid off, and I went backwards.
Nobody expects to get disabled, yet there's 50 million people in America that have a disability. And it happens just like that, an accident or a sickness, and then bang, you're out of the workplace. And you hope and you pray that your carrier is going to do the right thing, that they're going to honor the contract, that they're going to do what they said they'd do, give you peace of mind and security, give you trust and confidence, pay that claim when the folks need it most.
I gotta sit down. That's it, guys. She said, well, I can fax you the papers to fill out to, to file a claim. But she said, you can go ahead and fill them out if you want to, but it's not going to matter because you don't have a claim. And, excuse me? And so she said, well, you go ahead and fill them out and send them back. You can fax them back if you want to, and we'll look at them. But then she says, she said something to the effect of, we have people that investigate the claims like yours, and I'm going, what are you talking about? And it happened at work, it's a work injury. I mean, what are you talking about? I don't have a claim. That, the doctor told me, they're the ones that told me I need to get a hold of you guys. I myself particularly do not care for insurance companies. Never did. I've always seen people get screwed and just didn't want any more to do with any insurance company than I had to, but my policy was a mandated policy through my carrier in order to operate my truck leased onto them. And it was supposed to be to protect against personal loss in the event of a work-related injury. And that's exactly what the book that they sponsor and create that's advertising these insurance policies for the owner-operators that lease onto them. It's exactly what it says in the book,
I don't think it's right to take people's money when you have no intention of paying them. Most people are under the mistaken impression that the federal government regulates insurance. That's not the case. Their contracts are written using meaningless, flowery language. What the contract really is a one-way, self-serving device that allows the insurer to pay the contract the way they see fit without being sued.
You must be reading from another policy because, so I even have a letter in there that I sent to them that, please send me the master policy because obviously I'm not getting something right. There must be something that I'm missing here. So I would like you to please send me another copy of the real policy with everything. If there's some portion of it that you have that I don't have, well, by God, I want it. And she sent me back, and I've got the letter in there. It says, well, there is no other master policy. It's the same policy, and well, something's wrong with this picture then because what you're getting off of it and what I'm getting off of it are two different things. However, but when you look at the policy and I ask you about my medical care, and you specifically say, and you read it from the policy saying that your medical benefits and expenses are paid for a term of 36 months from the date of the injury. Well, we got that right, so I know that part of the policy, because I'm reading it with her word for word, and now I'm reading it, it says, your total disability means that you can't partake in any duties of any occupation for which you are trained, educated, or experienced. And I'm reading that, and I'm going, so why am I'm only trained to drive truck. That's it. That's it. And I'm doomed. And but she's telling me, well, it says any experience. I'm sorry, but you don't qualify for permanent disability. And I'm going, so what am I supposed to do? The only thing I know how to do is drive a truck. I don't have any qualifications for any of that. Jesus, I didn't even graduate high school.
Sick people don't fight hard, and old, disabled, sick people don't last long. So if you beat them up, if you wear them out, if you make the process difficult, confusing, cumbersome, it's really hard for them to then stand up and A, find the courthouse, B, find a great lawyer. At the same time, they're trying to do what? Find Dr. Right, the right treatment, the right therapy, the right medication, all the while fight their carrier. It's a lot to ask.
The insurance company had their doctor's report, and they said, well, it says you're not disabled, that's it, and I'm like, excuse me? So what happened? I haven't had any surgery or anything, and just because a date shows up and comes, it's a certain date, well, that means what, I magically got fixed and I'm no longer, what, some miracle happened that poof, you're better, and so you can go back to work. And she said, well, the doctor's report, we told you that we're going to do another opinion. Well, I've had second, third, fourth, and fifth, sixth, and seventh, no less than 9 doctors. So, and the orthopedic specialist that they had looking at me, the primary one that we went with was Dr. Gray, good man, And I, even after she told me that I was no longer disabled, I went back to Dr. Grace. I got mad at him. I went, okay, well, I got to get a work release. He got mad at me. I went in there and asked him for a work release, and he got mad, boy. And I don't blame him, actually, but I had to, you know, because I wanted to see if, you know, if it was some BS that, you know, maybe he was telling me one thing and telling them another. He said, no. He said, absolutely will I not sign a work release for you. You can't work. And he said, what happened to your insurance? I thought you had insurance. And I said, well, I did. But now all of a sudden they're saying I'm not disabled. And he's going, well, I sent him the report. Didn't they get the report? I said, yes. And we even, because I had to call back because they had me send them a report 3 or 4 times, and same report. But they'd say, well, it's too old. We have to have a new one. And he'd send them the updated status, and it says, you know, position it remains unchanged. She's permanent and stationary. And they would tell me, well, we got to have an updated one. You know, this doesn't count. And but he got mad at me, that Dr. Gray did, and I don't blame him. And he said, you might be able to get a work release from some other doctor that hasn't seen you, doesn't know who you are, or what your situation is. He said, absolutely no way I'm going to sign that.
The fraud card is a dangerous card to pull from the deck, because if you're wrong and you wrongly accuse someone of fraud, you know, my dad taught me when I was little, you only have one life to earn a reputation. And when they stain your integrity and your family honor and they call you a fraud, if they're wrong, we really should take the company. We should. We should take the company in that instance so that all the rest of them see that that's not okay. You can't steal somebody's honor or their dignity by calling them a fraud or turning that card over just as a matter of everyday practice. And when they do call somebody a fraud, they better be ready to defend it to the death of the company.
I want my chair inside too. Now you know why I got wheels on everything. Now you know, I know it's smart. You can't call me a dump trucker. Nah. I stayed to see one of my brothers. I was kind of using it, but okay. I wake up 3 or 4 times a night because, I mean, anymore it's gotten to the point where I wake up screaming, and I don't like screamers, you know. And to wake myself up because I'm crying out in pain, you know, and I'm afraid to get up and move, but it's sitting there hurting so bad that I don't know which one's worse, so I got to make myself move, you know, to get up because I can't stand the pain. This goes on all night, every night, 3 or 4 times. I might get 3 or 4 hours of sleep, but it's you know, to somebody that's in that position, for them to just go through the motions to cinch up whatever it is they're trying to do, it's just not right. It's not right. I wake up and I sit at the table in the morning and cry because I can't handle the pain. Excuse me. And I sit there and think about, you know, yeah, let me go get a job, you know. I could do this every morning, 5 days a week. I could get up in this condition and be able to get my clothes on, drive to a job, and work, and be able to come home at night and deal with this in the morning and all night long, and do this for any extended period of time. Yeah, right, that's gonna work out good. I can see this happening. Sorry. It is wrong. It's very wrong. And I don't know how many times, I mean, I have been to the point, I've been driven to the point that I know now I'm firm on it. I've got a little bit of support to where, I mean, the right thing came along at the right time. But these people had me so upset and so devastated that I was actually suicidal. And if somebody hadn't have showed up one day when they did, I was in there counting the pain pills because I couldn't believe that somebody would treat somebody in the condition that I was in. And the fact that they were doing it to so many other people, I mean, already you feel like you're not productive and you can't even take part in your own life, you know, and then they treat you like you're dog shit. And then you ask them a question, and I'm sorry, I guess I'm old-fashioned, but when I talk to somebody, I expect that they're going to be truthful with me, and if they don't want to be truthful, then they shouldn't talk to me. Because if you ask me, you're going to get an answer. You might not like the answer, but you're going to get what you ask for, you know, and I mean, you give what you get and vice versa. You should respect another human being as you want to be respected, and the truth should be the way to go. So I trusted this insurance company. I mean, I trusted them. I believed in them, and I mean, I'm sure that they're great individuals, but I learned the hard way that, you know, the thing that brings to mind is I wonder how much of a bonus they got and what kind of inter-office incentives they offer for whoever saves them the most amount of money at the end of the year on claims. That's what I wonder, because I can't imagine another human being treating somebody that's already in such a bad position, treating them so badly, and just, how do they sleep at night? I couldn't.
It's a bad faith case, and you know, a poster child for what's wrong with the industry right now.
I mean, if they come out here for 24 hours and spent 24 hours in my life with me, right next to me, they would see. But you know what? I don't think it would make a difference, because I think that they're so callous and so cold and so greedy that, you know, it doesn't, they don't care. Out of sight, out of mind. You know, they don't have to live it. But God help the day that they do. I feel for them.
You know, looking back on it, I wish I had never bought the policies and I had paid the premiums to a savings account. I'd be far better off today than had I not bought the insurance.
Good faith is good business. It's tremendous business. Be the carrier that honors what they sold, that does the claim process right by investigating and evaluating and paying the legitimate claims. On time, every time. Speak clearly to your insureds. Speak concisely to the insured. Help them through the process. Facilitate through the claim process. Make it simple. Make it easy, just like when we pay our premiums. If I have questions, don't double talk. Don't misspeak. Tell me honestly what I need to do to get paid, and then pay me. And if you're wrong, do what we do in life. Say you're sorry. I apologize. My mistake, my bad. If they're late and it's honest, do what we do every day. Be sincere about it.
Insurance companies should never be allowed to manage claims. It's like letting a hungry fox watch over the chicken coop. It makes no rational sense. No one investigates insurance companies because no one prosecutes. As soon as insurance companies and their employees start getting penalized with jail and criminal fines, we can start to progress to a fair system. Let the state fine them 3% per month for unpaid claims that are found to be lowballed, denied, minimized, or where they employed slanderous and libelous tactics. Use the money so that law enforcement agencies can implement criminal fraud units. That'll likely get their prompt attention. Disability insurance? I'd never buy it.
Without an Allstate agent, you're behind the 8 ball. That's Allstate stand. Are you in good hands?
Your Aetna agent is the man who can make all your insurance nice and simple again. Aetna, we're not your average insurance company. You get action with Aetna.
My name is Bert. One of the things that I really carry as being very painful, above and beyond the fact that I was never paid out on the policy, was I was the officer who put this Aetna disability policy in place for the company.
The Hartford, a company built on 195 years of trust. Ask your advisor what The Hartford can do to help you plan for your future.
My name is Linda. I was insured through Hartford Disability. I paid all my premiums. After being offered a settlement, and I turned it down for the third time, my benefits were refused.
For life, health, auto, home.
Get a piece of the rock.
Prudential Insurance.
My name is Colette. Prudential canceled my long-term disability and denied 2 appeals based on, I don't know what they based it on because I didn't see any of their doctors. They've never met me. They've ignored my doctor's reports. And they've just made a decision and they're standing by it.
Call an agent's office 24/7. Stop by or go to statefarm.com to get an agent who's there for you. Online, on the phone, or in the office. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.